The curious visitor Zira was not an ordinary girl. She was not even human. She belonged to the peaceful planet Trion, a place full of shining blue trees and floating silver lakes. Zira was young, curious, and always asking questions. She wanted to know everything about the universe. That is why, one bright morning, she sat inside her tiny alien spaceship, floating just above a small Earth town. Her job was simple: observe humans, write notes, and do not get caught. The people of Trion believed humans were strange, dangerous, and even a little crazy. Zira, however, was fascinated by them. She watched as humans walked in and out of their houses, drove noisy machines, and gathered in small groups to laugh and talk. But there was one human who caught her attention more than anyone else, a man named Ethan. He lived alone in a small house at the edge of town. Every morning, before the sun was fully awake, Ethan would go to his kitchen and make a strange-smelling drink. Zira, watching from her ship's hidden window, noticed this routine every day. The smell was so strong it reached all the way to her ship. She had never smelled anything like it before. It was sharp, bitter, and almost painful to her nose. One morning, Zira's curiosity became too much. She decided to sneak closer and find out what this human was really doing. Waiting until Ethan left for a walk, Zira landed her ship behind his house. She used her invisible cloak, tiptoed to the kitchen window, and peered inside. Ethan returned home, humming a quiet tune. He did not see the glowing eyes watching from the shadows. He moved around his kitchen as usual, picking up a small bag filled with black powder. He poured it into a shiny machine, added water, and pressed a button. The machine gurgled, steamed, and filled the room with that same strong smell. Zira covered her nose but kept watching. What was this human making? Why did he seem so happy about it? Ethan grabbed his favorite mug, a white cup with a blue star, and filled it with the hot, dark liquid. Steam rose from the cup, swirling in the air. Zira's translator buzzed quietly as she whispered into it. Human ritual. Dark poison every morning. Possible self-harm? She made a note on her glowing notepad. Ethan sat at the small table by the window. He lifted the mug to his lips and took a big sip. His eyes closed in satisfaction, and he let out a deep sigh, as if this drink was the best thing in the universe. Zira could not believe it. "He is drinking poison," she whispered, "and he likes it." Suddenly, Ethan looked up. He felt something was off. The room was too quiet. He set down his mug and stood up. Zira froze, her heart pounding. She tried to back away from the window, but her foot knocked a small rock. The sound was soft, but Ethan heard it. He moved toward the window, his eyes searching the shadows. Zira quickly pressed a button on her cloak, making herself nearly invisible, but not completely. Ethan's sharp eyes caught a shimmer in the air. He stepped outside, looking around. "Is anyone there?" he called. Zira held her breath. She was scared, but even more curious. Ethan's face was kind, not angry. She thought maybe, just maybe, he would not hurt her. Suddenly the neighbor's dog barked, making Ethan turn away. Zira used the chance to sneak inside through the back door. She crept behind the couch, careful not to make any noise. Ethan returned inside, still feeling a little strange. He picked up his mug again, but this time he felt eyes watching him. He turned slowly, and that's when he saw them, two big, glowing blue eyes peeking out from behind the couch. He jumped back in shock, almost dropping his coffee. Who's there?" he stammered. Zira knew she was caught. She stood up, still cloaked but her outline now visible. Slowly, she pressed the button to reveal herself. Ethan's jaw dropped. In front of him stood a girl with shiny silver skin, blue glowing hair, and bright, curious eyes. She was small and gentle-looking, not scary at all. Zira lifted her hands to show she meant no harm. "Please," she said softly, "I am not here to hurt you. I just want to know, why do you drink this?" Poison every morning? Ethan stared at her, stunned. He could not believe what he was seeing or hearing. An alien girl was in his house, and her biggest worry was his morning coffee. Outside, the sun was rising, filling the room with golden light. Inside, a new kind of meeting was just beginning. Both Zira and Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Two worlds had just collided over a cup of coffee, and nothing would ever be the same again. The secret is out. Ethan stood in shock, gripping his coffee mug so tightly he almost crushed it. Across the room, the alien girl stood quietly, her hands up to show peace. For a moment, neither moved. Only the soft ticking of the kitchen clock broke the silence. Finally, Ethan found his voice. "Are you real?" He asked softly, almost afraid of his own words. Zira nodded, her blue hair catching the morning sun. "Yes, I am real. My name is Zira. I'm from a planet far from here. I mean no harm, I promise." Ethan set his mug down carefully, his heart pounding in his chest. He looked at Zira, noticing her shimmering silver skin and glowing blue eyes, and wondered if he was dreaming. But she seemed scared too, holding herself small and waiting for his reaction. Ethan took a slow, deep breath. "Okay, you don't have to be scared. I'm Ethan. You're in my house. Why did you come here?" Zira relaxed a little. She stepped forward, her eyes never leaving Ethan's face. "I've watched you and other humans for many days. You all do strange things, but you." She pointed at the coffee cup. "Every morning you drink this brown poison. Why?" Ethan almost laughed, but Zira's serious face stopped him. "It's not poison. It's coffee. It wakes me up." Zira shook her head, confused. "But it smells terrible, and your face sometimes looks like it hurts when you drink it." Ethan chuckled. "That's true. It's very strong, but it helps us feel more awake. Some people can't start their day without it." Zira took out a small silver notebook and made notes. "So it is not to harm you, but to help?" "Yes," Ethan replied. He realized this was the strangest conversation of his life. "Would you like to try some?" Zira shook her head quickly. "No, thank you. My body is different. Maybe it would be poison for me." She paused, tilting her head. "Why do you need help to wake up? Do humans not rest?" Ethan smiled. "We rest, but sometimes life is busy. Coffee is just a little helper. It's not perfect." Zira stared at the coffee again. Her mind raced with questions. On her planet, nobody needed help to wake up. They just started their day with glowing fruit, full of sweet energy. She wondered why humans did things so differently. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door. Ethan jumped, spilling a few drops of coffee on the table. He looked at Zira, wide-eyed with panic. "Quick, hide." Zira ran behind the kitchen curtain, her body shimmering as she pressed her invisibility cloak. Ethan rushed to open the door. It was Mrs. Harper, his next-door neighbor. She smiled, holding a basket of muffins. "Morning, Ethan. Everything all right?" "I thought I heard voices." Ethan forced a nervous laugh. "Oh, just talking to myself." "You know how it is." Double quotes. Mrs. Harper raised an eyebrow. "You should get out more. Too much coffee, maybe." She handed him the basket and glanced around. Zira held her breath, staying perfectly still. "Thanks for the muffins," Ethan said, eager for her to leave. "All right then, have a good morning," Mrs. Harper said, finally turning to go. Ethan closed the door and let out a long sigh of relief. Zira slipped out from behind the curtain. "Is it always like this?" she whispered. Ethan nodded. "People here like to check in. It's a small town." Zira looked amazed. "So humans also watch each other?" Ethan grinned. "Something like that. Now you see why you have to be careful." Zira sat at the table, studying the muffins and coffee. "So you eat these with your poison drink?" Ethan laughed. "Sometimes. Want to try a muffin?" "It's not poison, I promise." Cautiously, Zira broke off a small piece of the muffin and tasted it. Her face lit up. It's sweet. We have fruit like this on Tryon, but not with this brown stuff on top. That's chocolate, Ethan said. It's another thing humans love, Zira scribbled in her notebook. Coffee, chocolate, human foods are very interesting. Maybe not all poison, Ethan smiled. Maybe one day you'll try coffee too. Zira shook her head but smiled back. Maybe, but first, I want to see more. Why do humans drink coffee everywhere? Is it a law? Ethan laughed again. No, but it feels that way sometimes. You can come with me to town and see for yourself if you're careful. Zira's eyes shined with excitement. I want to learn everything, but I will stay hidden. No one must see me. Ethan nodded. Deal, but you'll need a disguise. Together, they planned how Zira could see the world without anyone noticing her silver skin and glowing hair. For the first time, Ethan felt excited for the day ahead. For Zira, Earth had never seemed more mysterious. Outside, the world was waking up, but inside, a human and an alien were about to start a secret adventure, one fueled by curiosity, muffins, and of course, a mysterious morning drink called coffee. Investigating human habits, Zira was more excited than ever. She wanted to see how humans lived and why so many people drank coffee every morning. After finishing the sweet muffin, she felt brave enough to explore the human world, even if she had to stay hidden most of the time. Ethan found an old hoodie and a big pair of sunglasses for her. Zira pulled the hood tight over her glowing blue hair, and the glasses made her eyes look normal. Her silver skin still shined a little, but Ethan told her, just act like you're cold, and nobody will look too closely. Zira grinned and pulled the sleeves over her hands. Together, they stepped out the back door into the quiet street. Zira felt nervous but also thrilled. She walked close to Ethan, copying the way he moved. To her, everything seemed new, the fresh air, the sound of birds, the distant barking of dogs. On Tryon, the air was always sweet and calm, but Earth was full of different smells and sounds. Their first stop was a small bakery. Zira peered through the window and saw people sitting at tables, each with a cup of coffee in front of them. Some were reading newspapers, some were chatting, and some just stared into their cups as if searching for answers. Look, Ethan whispered, pointing. See? Everyone's got coffee. It's part of the morning for almost every adult. Zira stared. Are they all tired, or is it just a rule? Ethan smiled. Some are tired, but mostly it's a habit. People think better with coffee, or at least they believe they do. They entered the bakery. The smell of fresh bread mixed with the sharp scent of coffee. Zira wrinkled her nose but kept looking. Around behind the counter, a friendly woman named Sarah greeted Ethan. Good morning, Ethan. The usual? Ethan nodded. Yes, please. And one more for my cousin. She's visiting. Sarah smiled at Zira, not noticing her odd clothes. Welcome. Do you want coffee too? Zira shook her head, keeping her voice soft. No, thank you. Just something sweet, please. Sarah handed them 2 pastries and a coffee. Zira took a seat in the corner, trying to observe without being obvious. She watched the people around her. One man poured sugar after sugar into his coffee, making funny faces after every sip. Another woman laughed loudly with her friends, her coffee forgotten. On the table, Zira took out her notebook, pretending it was a mobile phone. She wrote, humans gather in groups. Coffee is part of talking. Maybe it is magic for friendship? Ethan read her note and laughed. It's not magic, but it does help people wake up and talk in the morning. It's just a drink, but some people say they can't live without it. Zira looked at Ethan. What happens if they don't have coffee? Ethan thought for a moment. Some people get headaches. Others feel tired or even angry. It's called withdrawal. Zira wrote that down, her mind buzzing with ideas. On Tryon, Nobody ever felt angry for missing fruit. She wondered why humans depended on this bitter drink. After the bakery, Ethan took Zira to a nearby park. Here, the people seemed happier. Kids played, old men fed birds, and the coffee cups were replaced by bottles of water or juice. Zira noticed the difference. Not everyone drinks coffee. She asked. Ethan shook his head. No, mostly adults. Kids have too much energy already. Zira smiled. That makes sense. They sat on a bench, watching life go by. Zira wanted to see more, so Ethan suggested visiting his friend's workshop. His friend Mike worked with machines and always had a pot of coffee brewing. When they arrived, Mike was busy fixing the car, coffee cup balanced on the engine. Hey, Ethan, Mike called. He waved at Zira. Who's your friend? My cousin Zara, Ethan answered quickly. Mike grinned. Well, Zara, you picked a noisy morning. Want some coffee? Zira shook her head politely. No, thank you. I'm still learning about it. Mike laughed. Smart choice. It's an acquired taste. I drink it to keep my hands steady when I work. He showed her his shaking hands without coffee. They trembled, but after a few sips, he was steady as a rock. Zira watched amazed. Coffee seemed to have a different effect on everyone. She noted, coffee helps with work, talking, and feeling normal. But why not just rest? Ethan read her note and thought hard. Sometimes humans don't have enough time to rest. Life here is busy and fast. As the sun began to set, Zira and Ethan walked home. Zira felt tired from all the new sights and sounds, but her mind was full of questions. She realized that coffee was more than a drink. It was a part of life, a helper, a habit, and sometimes even a friend. As they reached Ethan's house, Zira smiled. Thank you for showing me your world. Tomorrow, I want to try coffee myself. Maybe then, I will truly understand. Ethan smiled back. We'll do it together. But be ready, it's an adventure in every cup. Night fell, and Zira wrote in her notebook under the stars. Earth was strange and wonderful, and tomorrow, she would discover even more. The alien taste test the next morning. Sunlight spilled softly through the kitchen window. Ethan was already awake, moving around with the familiar energy that Zira was beginning to recognize. The smell of brewing coffee filled the room once again. This time, Zira wasn't hiding behind the couch or watching from afar. She was right there beside Ethan. Ethan smiled at her. Today, you're going to try coffee. Zira blinked. I don't know if I'm ready. It smells strong. Bitter. Ethan laughed softly. It is bitter, yes. But some humans like it. Some don't. You'll have to see for yourself. He poured the dark liquid carefully into 2 small cups. For Zira's, he added milk and a lot of sugar, hoping to soften the taste. He handed it to her with a small spoon. Zira looked at the cup with suspicion. She sniffed carefully. The smell was sharp, but sweeter than yesterday's bitter air. She took a tiny sip. Her face scrunched up immediately. The bitter taste exploded on her tongue. Ah! She gasped, blinking hard. It burns my tongue. Ethan chuckled. That's the coffee's personality. It's strong. But it wakes you up. Zira took another small sip, this time with more caution. Slowly, the bitter taste mixed with the sweet milk and sugar. It was different. Not terrible, but strange. She stared at the cup, unsure if she liked it. Ethan smiled. Coffee is an acquired taste. Some humans drink it every day, and some never like it. But it's more than taste, it's how it makes us feel. Zira tilted her head. What does it do? Ethan explained. It helps us wake up. It makes us alert and ready. Without it, mornings can be hard. Zira nodded slowly. She took a third sip. The bitterness was still there, but it didn't seem as strong. She looked up at Ethan, curiosity shining in her glowing eyes. How will I know if it works? She asked. Ethan grinned. That's the fun part. We're going to test it. We'll both try to go without coffee tomorrow and see how we feel. Zira's eyes widened. You mean no coffee at all? Yes, no morning coffee, no afternoon coffee, no coffee at all. Ethan laughed. It'll be a challenge. Zira smiled. I accept. It will be an interesting experiment. The day passed slowly. Zira tried to focus on her studies about humans and their strange habits. She took notes and asked Ethan many questions. She learned that humans often felt tired, stressed, and sometimes grumpy without their favorite drink. That evening, they shared dinner, a simple meal Ethan prepared. Zira thought about the coffee, about the strange bitterness, and the way humans loved it so much. On her planet, energy came from bright fruits and calm water. She wondered if coffee could ever be part of her life. Before bed, Ethan gave Zira a small alarm clock. Tomorrow morning, we start our test. No coffee, just waking up naturally. Zira nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Next morning, sunlight broke through the window again, but the kitchen was silent. No coffee machine hummed, no smell filled the air. Ethan sat at the table, rubbing his eyes and yawning. Zira watched him carefully. How do you feel? Ethan sighed. Like I missed something important. My head hurts. Zira raised her eyebrows. Headache? Yeah, Ethan admitted. It's called caffeine withdrawal. I didn't drink coffee, so my body is unhappy. Zira smiled softly. I feel normal. Maybe this coffee is not poison, but humans depend on it. Ethan nodded. Exactly. They spent the morning talking and watching the town wake up. Ethan was slower than usual. He moved carefully, trying not to spill the tea he had instead of coffee. Zira found it funny and teased him gently. You are weak without your poison. She joked. Ethan laughed. Maybe, but it's my poison. By noon, Ethan's headache was gone, but he still felt tired. Zira felt energetic and clear-headed. Your morning drink must be very powerful, she said. Ethan smiled. It is, but it's also a habit. Some humans drink it because they like the taste, others because they need the energy, and some just because it's part of their day. Zira thought about that. On Tryon, no one needed a drink to start their day, but maybe humans were different. Different worlds, different ways. That evening, Ethan brewed coffee again. The smell filled the kitchen, welcoming and warm. He poured 2 cups, one for himself, one for Zira. Ready for round 2? He asked. Zira smiled. Yes, I want to understand this better. She took the cup carefully and sipped. The bitterness was still there, but now it seemed familiar. She felt a small buzz inside, a warmth spreading through her body. Ethan watched her closely. That's the coffee working. Zira nodded slowly. I think I understand now. It is not poison. It is a strange gift humans give themselves. Ethan smiled. Exactly. Strange, but important. For the first time, Zira felt connected to this world in a new way. The alien and human differences seemed smaller. The strange drink was not poison, it was a bridge. The day without coffee. The sun had barely risen when Ethan's alarm clock buzzed loudly. He groaned, rubbing his eyes. Today was the day they had agreed upon. No coffee for the entire day. Ethan was already feeling the weight of the challenge. Zira, sitting quietly by the window, was calm and curious. She had slept well and felt fresh, but she watched Ethan carefully. This experiment was not just about coffee. It was about understanding humans and their strange habits. Ethan forced himself out of bed, but each movement felt heavier than usual. He stumbled to the kitchen, opened the cupboard, and stared at the empty coffee jar. His usual morning ritual was missing, and the silence felt strange and uncomfortable. Zira smiled slightly. Are you okay? She asked softly. Ethan forced a smile but looked tired. I'll be fine, I hope. As the morning went on, Ethan tried to work around the house, but his head ached badly. Every sound seemed louder, and his thoughts were slow. Zero watched in fascination. She had never seen a human so clearly struggle with missing something as simple as a drink. "Why is it so hard for you?" she asked. Ethan sighed deeply. "It's because my body expects caffeine. When it doesn't get it, I feel weak, tired, and cranky." Zira nodded thoughtfully. "On Tryon, no one feels like this. We eat energy fruits that never make us sick or tired. Coffee must be very powerful." Ethan looked at her and smiled. "It is powerful, but it's also a trap. People get used to it and can't stop." Zira wrote in her notebook, "Humans depend on a bitter drink to start their day. It gives energy but also makes them weak without it." She paused. "It sounds like a strange kind of addiction." Ethan nodded slowly. "It is, but most people don't think about it. They just drink coffee because it's part of their life." The day passed slowly. Ethan's headaches grew worse and his mood darkened. He snapped at Zira once when she asked a simple question. Immediately, he apologized, embarrassed. Zira smiled and forgave him, understanding that his struggle was not easy. As afternoon arrived, Ethan was barely able to focus. He yawned repeatedly and rubbed his temples. Zira decided to try to help. "Maybe you should rest," she suggested kindly. "Your body needs time to adjust." Ethan nodded reluctantly and lay down on the couch. Zira sat beside him, watching over him with concern. She realized that this poison wasn't poison at all. It was something humans needed, but it controlled them too. After a while, Ethan opened his eyes and looked at Zira. "Thank you for staying with me. I don't think I could do this alone." Zira smiled warmly. "That is what friends do." Slowly, Ethan got up and walked to the kitchen. He grabbed a glass of water and drank it slowly. Zira followed him, curious about what came next. "Do you want to try tea?" Ethan asked, holding a steaming cup. Zira shook her head. "Not yet. I want to see how you feel without any drinks for now." Ethan laughed softly. "You're tougher than me." By evening, Ethan's headache was less, but his energy was still low. Zira felt a strange respect for humans. They fought so hard every day just to keep going, relying on small comforts like coffee. Before bed, Ethan made a small promise. "Tomorrow, I'll drink coffee again, but maybe I'll try to drink less." Zira nodded. "Balance is good. Too much of anything can be bad." Ethan smiled, feeling hopeful. As the stars shone outside, Zira wrote her last notes for the day. "Humans are complex. Coffee is their friend and enemy. It helps but also harms. Understanding this makes me see Earth differently." She looked at Ethan sleeping peacefully and knew their friendship was growing stronger. Tomorrow would bring new lessons and new discoveries. The secret revealed. The morning light poured through the windows again, but this time the kitchen smelled different. Ethan was making coffee slowly, carefully, as if the drink was both a comfort and a mystery to him. Zira watched from the table, her eyes curious and thoughtful. After the bitter day without coffee, Ethan seemed eager to explain more. He poured 2 cups and sat down beside her. "Zira," Ethan began softly, "there's something I haven't told you about coffee. It's not just a drink. It's part of how humans cope with life." Zira tilted her head, waiting. Ethan took a sip of his coffee and continued. "Life here can be stressful. People have jobs, families, problems, and many worries. Coffee helps them feel awake and ready, but it also gives them a small moment of comfort." Zira nodded slowly. "So coffee is more than energy. It is a friend?" Ethan smiled sadly. "In a way, yes. But it's a complicated friend. Some people rely on it too much. They feel they can't live without it." Zira thought about this carefully. On Tryon, life was peaceful and calm. They didn't have the same pressures. She could understand why humans would seek comfort in small things, even if those things were bitter and strange. Is this why humans drink coffee everywhere? she asked. Ethan nodded. Yes, at work, at home, with friends, even alone. It's like a little ritual to get through the day. Zira looked around Ethan's kitchen, now filled with warmth from the coffee machine and the soft light of the morning sun. It felt less strange to her now. Thank you for telling me, she said. I understand more. Ethan smiled. There's more. Let me show you something. He reached into a drawer and pulled out a small, smooth crystal. It was softly glowing with a gentle blue light. This is a calming crystal from my world, Zira said, holding it carefully. It helps us relax and find peace. Ethan took it, fascinated. That's beautiful. He closed his eyes and held the crystal for a moment. Then he opened them and smiled. It feels nice, calm. Zira felt happy. Sharing a piece of her home made the strange earth world feel more like hers too. Ethan looked at Zira seriously. See, Zira, every world has its own ways to cope with problems. Coffee for humans. Crystals for Tryon. Zira nodded. We all want comfort. We all want peace. Ethan smiled warmly. Exactly. Maybe that's what friendship is, helping each other find comfort. They sat together, the coffee steam curling in the air, the glowing crystal warm in Ethan's hand. Two worlds, two friends, sharing secrets and understanding. Later that day, Ethan invited Zira to meet some of his friends. He wanted her to see more of human life, to feel the true meaning of community. At the small cafe, Zira watched as people laughed, talked, and enjoyed their coffee. But she also saw moments of quiet reflection, gentle smiles, and comforting touches. One woman, noticing Zira's unusual appearance, smiled and offered her a cup of tea. You're welcome here, she said kindly. Zira's eyes shone with gratitude. For the first time she felt she belonged. That night, as she prepared to leave Ethan's house, Zira spoke softly. I came to learn about humans, and they're strange. Drinks, but I found something more: kindness, friendship, and understanding. Ethan smiled. And I found a new friend too. As Zira's ship lifted off, she looked back at Earth with new eyes. Coffee was no longer just a bitter poison. It was a symbol of the human spirit, with all its strength and weakness, and she knew that no matter how different their worlds, friendship and comfort were what truly connected them. Understanding each other, the days grew warmer, and the town around Ethan's house buzzed with the usual sounds of life. But inside the small kitchen, a new kind of warmth had settled, one of friendship and discovery. Zira and Ethan sat together, sharing stories from their worlds and learning about each other's lives. Zira had spent many days with Ethan now. She had tasted coffee, seen human habits up close, and felt the strange pull this bitter drink had on its people. But more than that, she had found something unexpected: a true friend. One afternoon, as they watched the sun dip below the horizon, Zira spoke quietly. Ethan, I never thought I would understand humans so well. This coffee, it is more than just a drink. It is part of who you are. Ethan smiled, stirring his cup. Yeah, it's strange. It helps us wake up and face the day. But it also reminds us we're not alone. When we drink it with friends, it brings us together. Zira nodded thoughtfully. On Tryon, we have our own rituals. Different foods, different drinks, but the same feeling: connection. Ethan looked at her with curiosity. Do you think you will miss coffee when you go back to your planet? Zira smiled softly. Maybe, but I will miss the way it brought me closer to you and your world even more. Ethan laughed. You know, I think humans could learn a lot from Tryon, your calm and peace. And you, Zira said, can teach me how to enjoy the small bitter things in life. They laughed together, the sound light and easy. As the days passed, their friendship grew stronger. Ethan showed Zira his favorite places: the quiet forest where birds sang, the busy market where smells and colors mixed, the sparkling river where he often sat to think. Zira shared stories of her home, the floating lakes, the glowing trees, and the peaceful nights under twin moons. One evening, they sat outside watching stars appear in the dark sky. "Ethan," Zira said, "I came here to learn about your strange drink, but I am leaving with so much more." Ethan smiled, taking her hand gently. "I feel the same way. You showed me how different worlds can be connected by simple things like trust, laughter, and yes, even coffee." Zira looked up at the stars, feeling a deep sense of belonging. "Will you visit Trion one day?" Ethan asked. "I hope so," she replied. "And you must come to Earth again." They promised to keep their friendship alive, no matter how far apart their worlds. The next morning, Zira prepared to leave. Her small spaceship stood ready in the backyard, gleaming softly in the sunlight. Ethan helped her pack, both feeling the bittersweet weight of farewell. Before she stepped inside the ship, Zira turned to Ethan. "Thank you," she said simply, "for your kindness, your patience, and for letting me see the beauty in your world." Ethan smiled warmly. "Thank you for teaching me to see it through different eyes." With a final wave, Zira boarded her ship. The engines hummed softly, and the craft lifted into the sky dot as she disappeared into the vast blue. Ethan looked up and whispered, "Goodbye, friend. Until we meet again." Zira's journey had started with curiosity about a strange drink called coffee. It ended with a deeper understanding of friendship, culture, and the power of connection across worlds. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, two friends smiled, knowing their stories would always be intertwined.